Hello, welcome all to my YouTube channel. In previous video, we have seen the hardware requirements to install the UiPath Orchestrator 2021.10. If you have not gone that video, then refer to the video description. You will get the link of that video. If you want to know more about the hardware requirements, then go through that video. In this video, we are going to see what are the software requirements that needs to install and configure the Orchestrator 2020.10. Let us continue to understand the software requirements to install the Orchestrator 2020.10. First of all, we have to select the servers. To install the Orchestrator, we need to have a Windows server, and the compatible operating system version is Windows 2012, 2016 and 2019. You can select any of these servers to install the UiPath Orchestrator. Then next, we have to select the SQL Server database to install and configure the UiPath Orchestrator. These are the different type of SQL Server compatible versions. The SQL Server 2012 to 2019 Standard or Enterprise Edition support to Orchestrator. Apart from these, Azure SQL Database, Amazon RDS for SQL Server, and Google Cloud SQL for SQL Server. These cloud platforms also supports. Then we need a UiPath High Availability add-on. This is required only for supported high availability installation. In that case only, high availability add-on is needed. Then next one is for logging and visualization purpose, we need a Elasticsearch and Kibana softwares. And these are the compatible versions for Elasticsearch and Kibana. Here I would like to highlight one more thing. The Elasticsearch and Kibana softwares are not explicitly required, but it is recommended for logging and visualization purpose. Here basically Kibana is used for the visualization purpose. Using the Kibana user interface, you can find out or you can search the needed logs from the Elasticsearch. Then next software is a browser. UiPath is a browser-based application. Once you complete the installation, it has to be accessed using the browsers. You can use Google Chrome, Firefox and Microsoft Edge browser to access the UiPath Orchestrator. In a browser, Google Chrome, the compatible version is 50 plus, then Firefox and Microsoft Edge. These three browsers are supported. The Firefox browser doesn't support in a private browsing mode. Second thing is that the Internet Explorer support is no longer offered for Orchestrator. So you have to ensure that either any of the browser from this list should be available. Then next one is Web Deploy. This is another software. Basically this Web Deploy software is used only for PowerShell script installation. For example, when we install the UiPath platform on Microsoft Azure Cloud Platform, at that time we have to perform the installation activity using the PowerShell script, and this Web Deploy application is support when we install the platform using the PowerShell scripts. If you are going to install this on-premise, then this Web Deploy software is not needed. Then next one is software frameworks. .NET Framework, that is 4.7.2 or its a higher version is needed, and ASP.NET Core Module 3.1.x plus and 5.0.x plus. These two ASP.NET Core modules are needed to install the Orchestrator. Then we also need a web server, that is IIS, Internet Information Server, and compatible version is 8 plus. And apart from this, IIS module URL writer is also needed, and the compatible version is 2.1 plus. Then about virtual platform, Citrix Zen Desktop, Oracle VirtualBox, Microsoft Hyper-V and VMware. These are the different virtual platforms supports UiPath Orchestrator installation. Any platform that can create and support Windows virtual machine can also be used. These are the different softwares that are needed to install the UiPath Orchestrator. We have seen what are the needed softwares that needs to be installed on Orchestrator server before starting the Orchestrator installation. Now what we will do here, we will download all the needed softwares and we'll install and configure it on the Orchestrator server. For that, I'll go to google.com and we'll download the needed softwares one by one. Here is the .NET Framework. We need a 4.7.2 or higher version. Here is the list of all the .NET frameworks, and from this list I will download .NET Framework 4.7.2. Now we have downloaded the .NET Framework 4.7.2. I will copy this installation file. I'll go to the Orchestrator server, and in download folder I'll paste the .NET Framework installation file. To install the .NET Framework, just double click on installation file. Now it is extracting the files and installing. Okay, so .NET 4.7.2 is already installed on this machine. Here I am using Windows Server 2019 data center. With this machine, .NET Framework is already installed. If you are using Windows Server 2019, then you don't have to install the .NET Framework. It is already installed with the operating system. You can check whether the .NET Framework is installed or not. To verify, what you have to do, go to a registry of this server, and then you have to navigate to this path, hkey_local_machine, then software, Microsoft, and under this you have to search for .NET Framework Setup. Under the .NET Framework Setup, you will get the NDP folder, and under the NDP folder you will see the list of the .NET frameworks that are installed on this machine. If you select here this version v4 and client, so here you can see that .NET 4.7 is already installed on this machine. You also need to install the PowerShell application. If you are using the Windows Server 2012, 16 or 19, the PowerShell application is already installed with those servers. So this is the PowerShell application that is already installed with this operating system. A recommended software that needs to be available in the server where we are going to install the orchestrator. Then we need to install the IIS web server. To install the IIS web server, UiPath has already provided the PowerShell script file, and by running this file, the web server will be automatically installed on the server. I will provide this link in the description of this video, so you can download this PowerShell script file from that link. Okay, let me open this. So this is the PowerShell script file to install the web server IIS. To execute this file, just simply select all by pressing Ctrl A and copy this whole script. Then let us go back to the server, and from here you have to run the Windows PowerShell ISE with run as administrator. Before running this PowerShell script, let us check whether IIS is available or not. To check the IIS availability, inetmgr is the command. Okay, the IIS or web server is not installed on this machine. Now what I'll do, I will simply copy this file and I will click on run button. Here the IIS web server installation is started, and all the needed configuration settings will also be done by the script. Now Windows operation feature IIS default document. Okay, this script will take some time to execute, around 3 to 5 minutes. Now it is checking for features, different features like IIS HTTP errors. Now it is enabling the Windows operation features. Enabling IIS URL authorization. Okay, there are certain things that is web server installation and configuration. All those things are taken care by this script. We have to just run this script on the server where orchestrator will be installed. This is one of the very important steps as a software prerequisite to prepare the server to install the orchestrator. Okay, now it is running WebSocket services. So web server is installed on this machine, and also all the needed features are installed. Now it is asking to save changes to the following files. Okay, I will not save this because all the features are already installed. I don't think so that it is needed to save. So simply I'll click on no button. Now let us check by running the init mgr command. Now web server is installed on this machine, and also all the needed configuration is done by the PowerShell script. Then the next software is ASP.NET Core IIS module. Okay, the minimum version 3.1x and 5.0x needs to be installed on the server. To download both the modules, so here I'll click on this link. This is the ASP.NET Core Runtime module, and from here for Windows, hosting bundle needs to be downloaded. Hosting bundle needs to be installed. So what I'll do, I'll download this hosting bundle. It is downloading now. Again, I will download the another .NET Core module, that is 5.0. Let me click on the link, and same way from this window you have to download the hosting bundle for Windows. Okay, both the .NET Core modules are downloaded now. What I'll do, I'll copy those modules and I'll go to the server. I'll paste it here, downloads folder. So now the .NET Core module 3.1.22 is copied here on this machine. Let me install this. For that, just double click and select I agree and install. So setup is in progress now. Microsoft.NET Core 3.1.22 Windows Server hosting. Setup is completed successfully. Same way you have to install the another module as well, another hosting module, that is 5.0. So here I have downloaded the another module that is 5.013. I am double clicking on it to install. Now the installation is progress. Okay, we have successfully installed this module. Okay, then the next step is that we have to add required roles and features to the application server. For this, UiPath provides a PowerShell script that automatically adds those server's roles and features. Let us check that these are the different roles and features that needs to be added in an application server. For that, we need to execute this PowerShell script file on application server. I will copy the content of whole file, then I'll go to server, and on this server we have to open PowerShell application. With run as administrator. PowerShell application is open. Okay, from here what we have to do, we have to copy the PowerShell script file and simply we have to click on run button. Now this script will add needed roles and feature to the application server. It will take couple of minutes to complete the configuration. Still configuration is in progress. It is adding a feature URL authorization. All the needed roles and features are added in this PowerShell script file, and when we execute it, it applies those roles and features to the application server. Now it is enabling WebSockets, IIS WebSockets. So all the needed roles and features are installed on this machine. I will not save this file because it is not needed. So I will simply click on no button. Next thing is that we need to add web deploy extension, but the web deploy extension is needed whenever we install the UiPath platform on cloud. For example, Microsoft Azure. In that case,
we need a web deploy extension to execute the PowerShell script. On the Microsoft Azure, the UiPath platform is installed using the PowerShell script. So to execute the PowerShell script files, we need a web deploy extension. But in our case, here we are installing the UiPath platform on-premise environment, so we don't have to install web deploy extension. Now, the next step is that we need to install the URL rewriter to the application server where Orchestrator will be installed. For that, what I have done, I have downloaded URL rewriter on this machine. Now to install it, just double click on the application. Now the installation is started. And here we have to click on install button. I accept. Okay, so URL rewriter is successfully installed on this machine. Let me finish this and exit. After installing the URL rewriter, the next thing is that the application pool user needs to have logon as a badge job access in the local computer policy, and the anonymous authentication must be enabled. For that, what I'll do, I'll go to local group policy editor. This is the command to open local group policy editor gpedit.msc and click on OK button. To grant the logon as a badge job access, what you have to do, you have to go to Windows setting, then security settings, then local policies and user rights assignment. Here you have to search for logon as a badge job policy, and you have to ensure that IIS users is added to this group. So it is already added, so I will not take any action here. Once logon as a badge job access is activated or access is granted, then the next step is that we need to install the SSL certificate. We need to install the web certificates. The HTTPS protocol is mandatory for all communication between robots and Orchestrator on all the browsers on which the web application is accessed by users. Okay, there are different type of certificates can be used. We can use a web certificate issued by a trusted certificate authority such as GoDaddy, Verisign, etc. The web certificate has to be imported to server certificate in IIS. You need to know the name of the issued to entity, which has to be provided when prompted by the Windows installer. If you are a certification authority which can issue certificate trusted in the Windows domain. The next one is that a self-signed certificate can also be used, but which is not recommended for production environment. This certificate is not trusted inside the domain. For that reason, you need to export its public key and then import it on the robot machine. For security reason, the certificate used by the identity server needs to have a public key on 2048 bits. The next chapter is we need to install a SQL Server, and this will be used to install the UiPath Orchestrator. The SQL Server can be either installed on the same machine as the application server, but it is not recommended for the production environment. Or you can provide a separate machine. The SQL Server machine can be shared with other application. It does not need to be dedicated to Orchestrator. The SQL Server user must have access at the server level. Database level access is not sufficient for successful installation. If you plan to connect Orchestrator to the database using a SQL Server user, enable the Windows and SQL Server authentication mode. Otherwise, Windows authentication mode is enough to install the UiPath Orchestrator. If SQL Server is already installed, then you need to perform few settings. Let us do that. Go to SQL Server instance, then right click there, select properties option, then go to security. So here the default option selected is Windows authentication. If you are going to use the SQL Server authentication, then you have to select SQL Server and Windows authentication mode. Then the second thing is that server collation should be a default, and click on OK button. Okay, let me restart it. Now the next step is that we need to create a database where UiPath Orchestrator will be connected. Let me go here and create a new database. Right click on database and select new database option. The database name, that will be UiPath. I will keep the default settings as it is and click on OK button. I assume that you have already installed the SQL Server, so the SQL Server installation part is not covered in this video. So UiPath database is created for us. After creating the database, you need to provide the user which connects to the SQL database with the DB owner permission. For that, what we have to do, we have to go to security. Here we have to select the user and we need to grant the DB owner permission to this user. For that, right click on the user, then go to properties, then go to user mapping. Okay, from user mapping you have to select the database and grant DB owner access to this user and click on OK button. Okay, so here we are ready with the application server to continue with the UiPath Orchestrator installation. All the needed software has been installed on this application server. Now we can continue with the Orchestrator installation. For that, what I'll do, I'll download the UiPath Orchestrator installation from UiPath portal. So now everything is set up. All the needed softwares are installed on this machine and also it is configured properly. Now we will continue with the actual UiPath Orchestrator installation. For that, what you have to do, you will have to download the UiPath Orchestrator installation media file from the UiPath portal. I have downloaded it in a downloads folder, and now we will continue with the installation. To install the UiPath Orchestrator, double click on the installation file. Setup is started and it is preparing to install. Let us give some time. Okay, still it is preparing something in a background, so we will have to wait until background preparation is completed. Okay, the next step is that check the checkbox and click on install button. Okay, so here we are going to install UiPath Orchestrator. So I will not enable insights integration or test automation. So I will keep it as it is and click on next button. This is the website name that is taken by default. This is the host name, then 443 is a port number, and this is a SSL certificate. It is taken by default by the installation file. Let us see what will happen. It is saying that the SSL certificate with this subject is not trusted on this machine. You may continue the installation, but Orchestrator will not work correctly until you replace the SSL certificate with a valid one. Okay, so I will say cancel. And let us see what is the SSL certificate there. For that, go to MMC, then file, add and remove snap-ins, then certificate, add this computer account, next, finish. Okay, personal certificate. Okay, so what we will do, let us try with okay, so what we will have to do here, see, it is saying that this CA root certificate is not trusted. To enable the trust, install this certificate in the trusted root certification authority store. Okay, so what we will do, we will install this certificate. Here
under the trusted root certification authorities. Okay, so for that, let us export this certificate. Export, then next. Okay, let me try one more time. All tasks, export, then next, browse, and I will save this on a desktop. Okay, let me give the same name. Okay, and save. Next and finish. Okay, so it is successfully exported and it is saved in a desktop. Let me import the same certificate here. Okay, so from this option we can import it. Click on import, then next, browse. Okay, desktop, open, then next, then place all certification in there. Okay, next and finish. So it is imported successfully to the CA authorities, and click on OK button. Now let's go back to personal folder. Let me double click here. The certificate is intended for the following purpose. Okay, now see, the earlier error has gone and we can use this certificate now. I'll go back and say next, and again I will click on the next button. Now it has taken the certificate which we had imported. Let's see what are the configuration settings. Orchestrator application pool settings. Please enter application identity configuration. I will not choose a custom account. I will choose it as an application pool identity, and we'll click on next button. Orchestrator database setting. Okay, we have already created UiPath database here on SQL Express. Let us continue with the next step. Now it is trying to connect to the UiPath database. Okay, it is successfully connected. The next step is that, so again we will have to give the same certificate name. We have to give that name here in a signing certificate. Database name is UiPath Orchestrator public URL, that will be https:// machine name. Then we have also provided the signing certificate, and let's click on next button. Here you can also specify the thumbprint value. Then SQL Server host is correct, database name is UiPath, and we are installing the orchestrator using the Windows authentication. So these settings are correct. Let's click on next button. To enable logging to the Elasticsearch, fill in the connection data below. Okay, we are not setting up the Elasticsearch, so I will keep it as a blank, and we'll click on the next button. So here it is asking to confirm the host tenant password and also the password for default tenant. So I'll specify both the passwords. Then I will click on next button to continue with the installation. So installation wizard is completed now. All the needed information has been provided to this wizard. Now we will continue with the actual installation. For that I will click on install button. Now the orchestrator installation is started, and it says that installing UiPath Orchestrator. Now we will have to wait for some time to complete the installation. Okay, so it is progressing now. Copying new files. Okay, installation is still in progress. Now the UiPath Orchestrator setup is completed successfully, and I will click on finish button. Let me close this task manager window as well. Let us try to access the orchestrator from browser. For that, what I'll do, I'll open the Google Chrome, and from here I will enter the URL as https:// computer name. Since I'm accessing this first time, it might take a time to load the orchestrator. Now the login window is open. I will put the credentials to log into the orchestrator. User ID and password, and we'll click on login button. Now it is trying to connect to the orchestrator. With the given credentials, we are able to log in successfully to orchestrator. So you can go through this orchestrator tour to understand more about the basic overview of the orchestrator. And now we are logged into the orchestrator. If you see here, this is the orchestrator 2021.10, and currently it is unlicensed. Once you receive the license from UiPath, you can activate the orchestrator and continue with the operations. Okay, so this is about the UiPath Orchestrator installation. I hope you have understood the concept, how to install and access the orchestrator. In case you have any further questions, please write me in a comment section. I'll be reply you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching this video. Also, do not forget to like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much.